It's time to chill out and get ready for a mediocre Q&A live stream. If you're old enough, grab yourself your favorite adult beverage, and if you're not, stick with apple juice. Put your feet up and relax. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. And now let's cue up the intro music. Sorry about that. I'm trying to do things nice and smooth, and then I stumble on the yeah, anyways, whatever. You guys don't care about that. Just know that I'm a bumbling idiot over here. So what is up, everybody? How are you doing today? Welcome to the HVACR videos live stream. So I do these for the new people that are watching right now. I do these, try to do them weekly, and it's a consolidation of questions. So I get a lot of questions and emails. I can't answer all of them, but I try to. And some of them are repetitive. It's like the same questions over and over again. And I totally want to answer everybody's stuff. So I try to do it on here. So got a few things to cover today. Do not have a big list today. So I don't think this one's going to go very long unless you guys have a lot of questions in the chat. So had an interesting week, and I'm going to get into a cool little callback story here in just a few minutes, but I want to go ahead and start off with a couple other things and say hello to everybody in the chat. So depending on what platform you guys are watching this on, whether it be Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, good majority of the people are actually in YouTube. So just know that if you guys are watching on other platforms and you're trying to chat, you're probably not going to see everything that's going on. There's probably 100 something people in the YouTube chat right now just going on talking about different things. So, but again, I'm all good. Whatever platform you guys want to watch on, it's all good. Okay. I really do appreciate you. Remember, if you guys are on Facebook, you want to make sure that Facebook, you have the permissions, and I don't know what you have to do to give StreamYard your permission, something like that. Because if you're not approving StreamYard or something like that on Facebook, then it just shows up as Facebook user in the chat, so I can't see your name. So if you guys do have questions, feel free to throw them in caps lock, and I will try to get to them as the stream goes on, okay? So Sam Mitchell, I saw in the chat, he says that he's getting a lot of leaks in evaporator coils. Doesn't matter the brand of the unit. If it's R290, he's always finding evaporator coils leaking. Age of the unit is not a factor. So I too see a lot of evaporator leaks. I work on a lot of R290 equipment, and I do have to say that I don't think it has anything to do with the refrigerant. And I think it has a lot to do with the manufacturers. The leaks that I'm seeing are consistently in the same spots. I'd say probably 80% of the R290 system leaks that I see are on the expansion valve braze joint. Good majority of the time, I think the factory is just not using a proper filler metal. I don't think they're using 15% Silphos. They're probably using one of those like the 8% silver whatever solder. It's not silver solder, but it's whatever. It's like a knockoff soft solder or something like that. I think a lot of manufacturers are just not prepping the equipment right and not brazing properly. I tend to see the leaks on the R290 equipment. I work on a lot of Delfield equipment, some true manufacturing, but I'm seeing a lot of the leaks in the same spots on the Delfield unit. So I think it just has to do with the installation and the way manufacturers are prepping things. So, but I do see a lot of people in Facebook and different things are just swearing up and down that they think it's the R290 that's causing the leaks. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I don't think so though. I just think it's poor installation practices is really what it is. So, let's see what else we got going on in here. Yeah, a lot of people are commenting. I had some new intro music. I'm still trying to figure out like what kind of intro music I want to use. It's kind of exhausting, but I tend to have like the 80s synth wave music or something like that. It's not the only kind of music that I listen to, but I do have always had like some sort of weird appreciation for the 80s, like synth music, Beverly Hills Cop intro, that kind of stuff. You know, the weird thing, there's a good majority of the things in my life, like music has always been a big thing for me. And really what it is, I think, is music takes me back to like a good place. Had some weird crap happen in my childhood. Anyways, I don't need to go into that, but the music has always been something for me. So I don't know, 80s synthwave music takes me to a place that I was happy when I was a kid or something like that. I don't know, it's kind of cool, but I still like will get this like goosebump feeling or something like that every time like certain songs come on. Just kind of reminds you of a moment, really cool. So let's see what else we got going on in here. What do we have? Lots of great people in the chat. Hello to everybody. Hello. So for people that are watching, maybe you haven't watched the last stream or so, I am still working on my house project. I have selected my equipment. So I have new equipment for my house, and I'm doing some testing and still trying to figure out some details. Had a hard time finding circuit breakers for my house. I mean, the size circuit breakers that I want. I have an old panel, and I needed some specific 208 volt circuit breakers. So I needed a 25 amp 2-pole and a 15 amp 2-pole. And with my particular configuration, they're Cutler hammer breakers. I was having a hard time finding them locally. So I found a cool place online. I got no affiliation with them, but I guess I'll plug them. Simplybreakers.com. Hey, super easy, fast shipping. Got me the breakers that I needed. They're not broken. They seem in decent shape. I think they're new. So we're just moving along. Again, on my house project, I am not in a rush. I really am not. I'm taking my time. My good friend Adam Muffich from HVAC Overtime Show, A-Team Adam, he has been helping me with the equipment selection, the load calculation, the duct design. So we've been kind of working through that and trying to figure out where we're going to order things. Everything is very precise with what I'm doing. I specifically have a type of equipment that I selected, and then I'm being very precise with the line sizing, the line set run, voltage and surge protection. So we're working through everything, trying to find the perfect setup so that way I can finish this and then probably move. So that's probably how it usually goes, right? Dump a bunch of money and then decide, it's time to move. Let's see. Al Anonymous said he got a True Flow grid. That is awesome, bud. So you will be very, very happy with the True Flow grid. I have a True Flow grid, and it's game changing. And stay tuned, because I know they're going to innovate with that True Flow grid, and there's going to be some really cool stuff to come out in the future, things that you can do with it. So it's a really awesome device. If you guys don't know what the True Flow grid, my friends over at the Energy Conservatory, I'm not being paid to say any of this stuff, okay? But my friends over at the Energy Conservatory create several different airflow measurement tools, but one of them is the True Flow Grid. And the really cool thing about the True Flow Grid is it goes in place of your existing air filter. You take pressure measurements before, you take pressure measurements with it in the system, and it has mathematical calculations, and it gives you your true airflow with the system without using a flow hood. It gives you your airflow going through your air handler. It's really, really cool. And it syncs up with MeasureQuick too. So that's really awesome. So if you guys haven't seen that, I think I showed the True Flow in one of my house videos. Really cool tool. So I'm really excited to see where that goes with the True Flow Grid. So lots of ice machine talk in the chat before the stream started. Let's get into that real quick. So I do a lot of ice machine work. Mainly Manitowoc and Hoshizaki are the two main ones that I do a lot on. I have a lot of restaurants that use those two machines, or two brands, I should say. Have worked a lot on Scotsman in the past, Isomatic in the past, Vote ice machines in the past, lots of Follett ice machines, but currently the only ice machines, actually I have some Isomatics out there right now too. So I have Isomatics, Hoshizakis, and Manitowocs out in the field. But, you know, all manufacturers have their issues. But certain manufacturers, I'm not going to name names, but they make the only all stainless steel evaporator for a crescent cube ice machine out there. And you guys can insert the name of that brand inside the chat. It's just not me saying it. But lately, they have been sucking, okay? Their plate separation issues are insane. Currently, right now, I have got a set of evaporator plates ordered for two side-by-side 1,600-pound modular machines, and they both had plate separation. The machines are still under warranty, and they have no plates. They told us estimation of a year out before this customer can get two new evaporator plates, and that's just minimum, you know. So I was blown away when I called the manufacturer and I was like, hey, we got these ice machines. We need new evaporator plates. What do we do? And they said, well, we got a solution for you. They're sending out new evaporator plates that are for smaller machines. I think they quoted me at an 8% capacity loss, if you use these new evaporator plates, and they're sending them out under warranty. And I'm like, really? So all that I did was give that information to the customer, and the customer decided they were so desperate that they're taking the smaller plates. But it just kind of blew my mind. You know, imagine a car manufacturer saying, oh yeah, we're having an engine recall, but we're going to send you a smaller engine. Like, what the, like, it just dumbfounds me, right? I was blown away, but this manufacturer. So anyways, I had I ordered those plates, those 260 or two, I think they're 1,300-pound plates or whatever now. But I ordered those about 2 months ago, and they told me for the lower capacity plates, it was going to be 3 to 6 months. So let's see. But then last week, I had two more 1,600-pound machines that weren't working properly. We were out there cleaning them, and the evaporator plates are separated on those too. And, you know, when you go into some of the ice machine groups, when you start talking about plate separation, everybody's like, it's because they're being cleaned with the wrong cleaner. It's because they're doing this. No, it's not. Okay. I'm sure there's some instances where the plate separation's happening for some user caused issue, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say 99% of the plate separation issues out there are just because the machines are not being made with high quality. I mean, and it's sad to say, because that particular manufacturer, and again, I never said what their name is, but they make the only stainless steel evaporator modular machine with a crescent cube. You know, again, the chat can say the name, but everybody knows who they are, and they used to have the best quality. Now, to be fair, their parts have always been ridiculously expensive. I mean, ridiculously expensive, but it's a price you paid for the quality of their machines. Unfortunately, I would be embarrassed to sell one of their machines right now. Now, to be fair, all ice machine manufacturers were having issues during COVID getting parts. For the most part, almost all the ice machine brands that I deal with have gotten through their part shortages, except for the one that has the evaporator plate issue right now. I'm having pretty decent luck finding all the other parts. So every manufacturer is having quality issues. And let's be honest. I mean, consumers are still paying top dollar for everything and everybody's having issues. It's just a normal thing. So the prices are just going to keep going up and up and up. And in the exception of subpar equipment is just, people are just going to get used to it. And it's sad to say that, but that's just how it is, So let's see what else we got going on in the chat right now. Oh yeah, that is funny. So yeah, one of the things that I would love to bring up when I am in an ice machine training class, and it doesn't matter what brand it is. One of my favorite things, if you open up any ice machine literature for Manitowoc, Hoshizaki, Isomatic, Scotsman, Vote, Follett, any of those guys, right? If you open up any of their stuff, marketing always has their hands on the technical literature and the brochures, right? And they're trying to do everything to sell the machines because they're marketing, right? They're a marketing department, right, of that company. And they will constantly, one of the things that they like to do is to tell the customers that our machine is so easy, you can clean it yourself. Okay. There's a particular brand of ice machine that's in almost every Starbucks out there. And they are engineered so the customer can clean them. They only have so many parts and they come apart. They have all kinds of other issues that the customer can't do, but they're trying to make these things more user friendly so that way the customers can clean them themselves. The marketing department's always saying, our ice machines only take this much time to clean. And one of my favorite things is when I go to the training classes, I love to ask the technical training person. And I'll usually go in there and I'll be cool about the whole class and I'm not rude about it, but I love, I'll ask good questions that I think that he's not covering that'll help them educate the rest of the class. And hey, what about this? And what about that? And so I usually get him to where he answers all my questions, right? And then usually somewhere in the middle or towards the end, I'll start asking them, all right, so how long does it take to clean one of your machines? And then when they say the spiel like, oh yeah, our machine can be cleaned in 27 minutes. You just push the clean button. Then I'll be like, okay, that's cool. So what happens when you have to do a full teardown? Like, they're having sanitation issues. We've got to tear the entire machine apart, take it apart, rip it out. And then you have a dual machine next to it, and getting rid of the ice, and all this different stuff. Like, how long is that going to take? And when you can actually get them to start admitting that it's going to take 4 to 6 hours to clean some of their machines thoroughly. I love doing that because they don't like to admit that stuff. But the truth is, every manufacturer out there, if you truly want to clean their machines, and I'm talking scrub the hoses and tear them down, it's typically at least 4 hours per machine. Like, that's how long it takes to properly clean an ice machine. You can do a half-ass cleaning in a short amount of time. Okay. Now, unfortunately, what happens with that is they start, because a lot of ice machine manufacturers, if you guys don't know this, they actually sell direct to the customers. When you're dealing, especially with chain restaurants, one of the things you have to learn to understand is that manufacturers, a lot of them in chain restaurants buy their own equipment direct from the manufacturer. So I have customers that have national accounts with Linux, so they buy their own package units that have national accounts with, well, and here's the shady part, like, okay, so I'm just going to say it. Linux, they'll sell direct to the customer. No big deal. Okay. It's just something you got to learn to deal with. But some other manufacturers don't sell to the customer. Like, they like to say, we don't sell direct. But what they do is their salespeople will negotiate deals with supply houses, and then the supply houses will sell direct to the customer. So it's a manufactured negotiated deal, and it's just like, so it's just their way of being able to go to the contractors and be like, you're my dealer. I'm not selling direct, but we're selling cheaper than we're selling to you to this guy, and this guy's selling direct, It's just one of those fun things you got to learn to deal with. It's kind of fun. All right, let's see what else we got going on in the chat. I'm reading through the chat right now. Again, you guys have questions, throw them in caps lock. We'll try to get to them. Okay, cool. So again, lots of great people I see in here. All right. So I had a really cool, interesting story. Now that we got a few people in here, I'll tell this story. So last Friday, had a service call, and I did not get a video of this. So it just couldn't be videoed, but it's a pretty cool story. And I'm going to tell you the type of person that I am and how this really messed with my head. So I had it was a simple service call. We had a water leak, water dripping from the roof. This is a restaurant with package units on the roof, and they had water dripping down into the dining room. Okay. It occasionally happens. And these days, most customers are not doing routine maintenance right now. So this is happening more and more. Okay. But this one just, it was like a rusty dagger just jammed in my side. Okay. So, had a service technician go out there. Service technician was taking a little while. It was starting to get to the point where I was kind of thinking, I should probably give him a call, make sure he's doing okay. Probably been about an hour and a half or so. And I just pretty much expected this was going to be an easy call, you know? So anyways, he called me before I called him, and he's like, yeah, just letting you know, when he got there, he said there was no water leaking. It was dry, but he can see there was a hole in the ceiling. There was a hole up in the ceiling where it broke through the drywall from a drip, 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 and it had leaked onto the floor into the restaurant. Okay. So he goes out there, he's looking at the hole. He goes up onto the roof. It's all package units. No water leaks. Okay. There's no water leaking. And he's like, okay. So he starts going to where all the ACs, he's looking at the ACs, making sure the drains aren't overflowing. Nothing. Okay. It's not coming from the ACs. It's just not. So he goes downstairs just to verify, because this is the way that I want my technicians to do things. I said, go downstairs. Or no, I didn't tell him this because I've told him this before. So this is why it was taking him so long, because he was going through all these steps to try to find this leak. Okay. So he goes downstairs and he goes to climb in what little of an attic they have, because most of the restaurant is an open ceiling concept that has spiral duct ran exposed where you can see it. It's just painted black. Okay. So that's a whole nother thing. We can actually see where the AC is and where the water leak is. This AC is a good 15 feet away. Okay. It's not in the area of this water leak, but we go out there and he starts climbing in what little attic they have. He does his best to get as close as he can, but it was just, he had to get through some really tight stuff. So he couldn't quite get to exactly where the water leak was, but he could see there. And he sent me pictures with his phone and he zoomed in and he's showing me, he goes, dude, there is no air conditioning equipment above that. He goes, there's just none. And he goes, there's no AC drain lines above that. There's not an AC drain line running over the leak or anything. So after doing all that information and doing all that research, again, because I teach him to do this, go find where the drain is. Like, where's the drain going to? Follow it in the ceiling, look and find, make sure, like, cover your bases. And he's like, I don't understand why there would be water lines in that area, because there's just nothing there. It's a hose stand. Like, there's no sinks, no anything. He goes, I don't know what this leak can be coming from. He goes, I see a fire sprinkler. And he tells me that, and I go, it could be the fire sprinkler. I've seen fire sprinklers leak in the attic. But that's not our thing, right? And he can't get to it. So we go ahead and tell the customer, hey, this is not an AC problem. You need to figure out, we basically said, it's just, you're going to need to call another vendor. This isn't us. We don't know what it's coming from. And we said there could be a fire sprinkler line in there, right? And that's what we told the manager on site. Now, he goes to leave, and immediately I get a phone call from the corporate office, okay? Because the corporate office monitors the work orders. They use a work order system. They see this come through. They call me. They're like, hey, do we need to get a plumber out there? And I said, here's the thing. It wasn't leaking when we were there. I go, if it's a plumbing leak, it would be leaking all the time, right? And again, I haven't been there. I'm just using logic as we're going through this, right? So I'm telling corporate, I don't think it's a plumbing issue. I think that you have some sort of a leak, because like I told him, if it was a plumbing issue, it would be consistent. And this one hasn't leaked since we got to the restaurant, but we can see that it was leaking. So they call a plumber out. Plumber goes out that night. Within like 10 minutes, I get an email from the corporate office, right? Later that night, because, and again, this is what just sent me through the roof. So I get an email from the corporate office, and it says they forwarded me the notes from the plumber. So the plumber went out there. The plumber put in put their information in the work order, and then the corporate office forwarded it to me. And I read the notes, and the plumber said, found water leak at AC unit, drain broken, repaired on the roof. And then the corporate office person sent me an email and said, dude, you haven't let me down in 8 years. I can't believe I'm having to tell you this, but you let me down. You guys said it wasn't an AC problem, all this stuff, right? And so I'm just reading this email, and it's just like a knife twisting in my side, because I'm like, what the flip? Like, for real? Like, there's no way. And it's starting to just build inside me, right? So this is my Friday night. I go through the whole weekend. I'm sitting here thinking what to do. Like, damn, that sucks. I don't like, my reputation's big with me, okay? So I don't like to be made look stupid, right? So I go out there this morning, right? I wait all weekend. It just twists me up inside just thinking about this, because this is how much I'm obsessed with my reputation. I don't like to be told I was wrong, right? So again, this was one of my other service technicians, but I'm responsible for my techs, right? They're a direct representation of me. So I go out there this morning, right? I don't tell them I'm coming. I show up. Now, let me tell you one thing I forgot to tell you. The corporate office called me right after my tech left, right? Before he sent me the email, he called me and he said, he was asking me, do I need to get a plumber? And I was like, I don't think so. I said, because it's not happening during the day, or because it's not happening when we're there, I said, I think you have a roof leak. And he goes, what do you mean a roof leak? It's not raining. And I go, no, but it only leaks in the morning. And again, I hadn't been there. I just know this location. I said, it only leaks in the morning. Okay. And you guys are near the coast. So they have the marine layer come in every morning. So that entire roof is covered with dew every morning. And, I go, dude, your roof is full of dew every morning. And this leak is only happening in the morning. I don't think it's a plumbing issue. Right. Okay. So now flash forward. He sends a plumber out there. The plumber says he fixes it. They give me crap, right? All this stuff. So I go out this morning. And what do you think I saw when I walked in the front door coming from that hole? Drip, drip. And it was like in my gut. I'm like, yes. Right? So, but I don't just leave it at that. I go up onto the roof and I'm looking at the ACs. Nope. Don't know. You know, there's nothing going on with the ACs. The roof is covered in dew. I climb into the attic and I go further than my service technician and I can physically see the water. There's a fire of all things. This is so weird. And I wish I could show you guys pictures right now. There's a fire sprinkler that comes from in the attic. It goes up onto the roof and then it goes back into the building. It's really silly. It's a fire sprinkler line. And what it is at that fire sprinkler line where it penetrates the roof, it's the low spot on the roof. So all the water runs to that. And there's a bracket holding that fire sprinkler line, and that bracket is completely rusted out. So that bracket's been getting rotted. It ran through the hole. It's dripping down into the building. And my whole weekend was ruined because of my own fault, because I obsess about things, right? But my whole weekend was ruined because I thought we messed up and I thought, you know, we just really dropped the ball when we didn't. And that customer overreacted, sent me an email that he shouldn't have sent me. And then for the kicker, I called him back today. I felt so vindicated when I saw the issue and I called him back. I sent him pictures because I climbed right to the leak. I circled it. I was like very blatant with all these pictures. Here is your leak. It's not me. And I said, after I told him, and he's like, oh, okay, that's odd. All right, well, I'll get the roofer out there, right? And he was just really cool about it. And I said, and I got to tell you something. I've been working with this guy for a very long time. I said, you ruined my weekend with your email. And he's like, what do you mean? And he goes, what email? And I go, the email you sent me on Friday. I sent you an email? For real? He doesn't even remember sending the email. And then he was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, you just took that wrong. It's like, no, I didn't take that wrong. And he didn't remember sending the email, which means he probably was late at night and on a Friday, you know, you get the drift. But oh my gosh, that stuff drove me nuts. So I know I just told you guys a long ass story, but that was a good feeling to go back and still see that water leak and then go in there and tell them it's not my problem and take pictures and videos and send it to them. Sometimes you got to do that, you know? Ah, man. Yep, exactly. Running down the line. Oh man. It was a frustrating one, right? And sometimes that stuff just really, really messes with my head. But I can send a really good follow-up email. I'm a wordsmith when it comes to those emails. So very, very precise and very whatever. But anyways, what made the whole deal is just consistent water sitting in a spot over time. It's going to make its way, even if it's sealed. But this is like a rubber TPO roof or PTO roof. So, you know, whatever penetration goo they use to seal that up, it's just not a good place. So, yep, exactly. So, all right, let's see what else we got going on in here. So with that being said, it's funny that happened over the weekend, right? Because I was monitoring social media, which I'm always looking at different groups on social media. And there was an interesting discussion going on in one of the food service groups. I don't remember which one. And it was talking about micromanaging. Now, the particular person that posted on the group was more or less talking about a specific problem that he was having at his specific company. And there's a lot of variables involved in that problem. And I do kind of feel for him and some of the things that he's saying and the points that he's trying to make, but I'm going to kind of cover that a little bit too. Okay. So I commented, the person posted something along the lines, and I'm paraphrasing that. Has anybody else's company started micromanaging to the point that the technician has to call the management after every service call. So he's asking, and what he's saying is his company is now instituting a policy where after every service call, he has to call in to get the next service call and give a rundown of what happened. And, some people see that as micromanaging. Okay. So I'm going to give a different perspective. I'm not saying that the people that see it as micromanaging are wrong. Okay. But I'm giving my perspective on it. And it's okay for you and I to have different perspectives. I'm not attacking any one person. I'm not that kind of person. I don't get my fairy feelings hurt when, people say stuff that contradicts with what I believe. Okay. It's okay. Just, relax. Right. So anyways, the point is I run a business and all of my technicians check in with me after every call. I dish out every service call for a couple different reasons. Okay. The main reason is that I remember being a service technician and I've always known all the calls. And when I look at my call list and I know that I have 7 calls and it's 6 o'clock at night and it's 110 degrees outside and I can just see that I'm never going home, that stresses me out and doesn't allow me to focus on the one call that I'm at. Okay. So I don't try to overload and stress my guys out, showing them the entire call list. I will give them updates like, hey, we're swamped right now. We got a couple more calls, but focus on what you're on. I'm not giving them a whole list so they can pick and choose. Okay. The next thing, and that's to reduce stress. But the next thing is that I need to know what's going on at my company. And I do realize that this is not scalable. Okay. The way that I run my company, it's not possible for it to be scaled and become a giant company, but I don't want to become a giant company. Okay. I like what I do. I like the size of my company. Of course, I could use a couple more techs, but I don't ever plan on being a big giant company. At one point, the most service technicians we ever had was 7, and that was exhausting. It really was. Okay. And it's my own doing because I'm focused on my business. Okay. But I make my technicians call me and they tell me everything that happened on the call. And then, they tell me, hey, this is what I found. This is where it's going. Sometimes I'll ask them more detailed questions, but if I feel confident in what they're doing and what they're telling me, then I dispatch them the next call. Sometimes I'll give them some feedback. Did you double check this? Did you check this? And they'll go back and check a couple more things, right? Understand something. Again, just because I do things doesn't mean you have to do them. Okay. I'm okay if you guys feel differently. This is just my perspective, right? But here's the thing. The reason why I'm telling this story now is because flash forward to what happened this weekend for me and what I had to do to make a phone call on Monday. Immediately after my service technician left that particular restaurant, the corporate office called me and said, hey, what happened over there? They expect an answer right away. That's the type of customer that they are. And that's the type of customers that I have. My customers want one point of contact, just one. They don't want to have to call my tech, nor do I want them to call my tech, because what happens if my tech doesn't say something correctly or tells him something about pricing that's incorrect? I prefer those communications to go through me. Therefore, I need to understand what's going on at my company. Okay. And again, I realize that makes my company never sellable or scalable because it all relies on me. Okay. But this is just the person that I am. I like to make sure that my company is ran the way I want it to be. My reputation is huge to me. So when the customer sent me that email over the weekend, that ruined my weekend because I was thinking about that all weekend was, damn, we screwed up. Damn, we screwed up. I don't like when we have big mistakes. And this wasn't a big one, but it was just in the eyes of a customer, So, all right, let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Reading through here. Let's see. If it is a call that you have people to answer to, then you better hear from them. If normal, then call the office. Okay. Yeah. Let me see. You're 3 calls at most usually, meaning Jason Johnson saying that he has 3 service calls and then, they usually don't do too much. So micromanaging is something we have to do to low call volume daily. Okay. All right. Let's see what else. What else we got going on in the chat? Just reading through here now that I've went on multiple rants. What else do we have? What do I think if this? Oh, what do I think of the HVAC school 3D animation? And that was really cool. So Corey Cruz, Bad TXV on Instagram, makes some really cool videos. So he collaborated with the HVAC school team and they came up with a 3D animation of a basic pump down refrigeration cycle. And it was a really, really awesome video. Now, I had some personal insight on this because I have a good friend that is on the HVAC school team that helps to create content and, do different things. But also, Corey had mentioned something to me about this video. He had been working on it for quite a few months. Like these videos, if you guys don't realize how much time goes into one of those 3D videos, it's insane. Again, I've never done one. I just have inside information because, I know people at the HVAC school company, right? And it's really, they put in a lot of work to that stuff. So you guys, if you haven't already, make sure you guys go search out the new HVAC school 3D refrigeration pump down video. And it is an awesome video. And make sure you leave some comments and find Corey Cruz, Bad TXV on Instagram, I think. And I know for sure TikTok. Leave them some comments and let them know because Corey worked hard on that one. So let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Oh, wow. Lots of great people. My buddy Ike's in here. My buddy Joe's in here. Jennifer's in here. LED Handyman. Awesome. Roger Wakefield. See, really cool. Good to see you, Roger. Really good to see you. Roger, I actually saw you at AHR, but I was in a hurry and you were busy and we didn't get to cross paths. But let's see what else we got going on in here. Oh, boy. Let's see. Jason Downs is saying that they run Corrigo. I use Corrigo too, and I have to deal with all that fun stuff. The NTE junk and everything like that. It's all interesting. Adam, that was a very nice super chat. Thank you, bud. You got to call Roger out. Roger, you should come on the HVAC overtime show. We do it on Friday evenings on YouTube. You should definitely come on that one time. All right, got a couple things I want to cover from some of my viewers. So a viewer of mine asked about MeasureQuick. Okay, let's be frank. I do not work for MeasureQuick. I do not know Jim Bergman. I don't even think Jim Bergman knows who I am. Okay. I have nothing to do with MeasureQuick. Okay. I just use it a lot. It's a really cool app. So MeasureQuick is an app that you use on a tablet. It communicates with a lot of Bluetooth tools and gives us great diagnostic and troubleshooting information when you are working on air conditioning equipment. Okay. Again, this is a non-paid endorsement, okay, but I do like MeasureQuick. But MeasureQuick has been having some drama going on in some of the Facebook social groups and different things because of some changes that the MeasureQuick team made, and a lot of people are asking questions. Now, again, I'm not an expert in the subject, but I can give you some general insight. So the person had asked me a question about MeasureQuick and was curious if it's free, and he just doesn't understand because there's also a paid version. And then also there's a bunch of stuff going on social media about how MeasureQuick is charging you to take screenshots of their equipment. Okay. And a lot of people are frustrated with that. So first and foremost, there is a paid version of MeasureQuick. When you use that paid version, you get extra features. Okay. A couple years ago, there was a change that was made because MeasureQuick, they're putting a lot of money into that program and they're building it up. They have to start making money. They have a crap ton of people using it because it's a free software. So they started to have to pull back on some of the features. And one of the features that they pulled back on was being able to email reports. So that became a premium feature. So yes, it was in the very beginning a free feature, but there was a lot of stuff that they always prefaced. This is free for now, but it will become, something we charge for in the future. Like they were very open with that stuff. So they pulled the reporting into a premium feature a couple years back, and a lot of people got really frustrated because they felt like they deserved the reports for free and they were frustrated. Okay. So what they started doing was they started to circumnavigate emailing reports. And what they would do is they would put everything on MeasureQuick on one screen. Then they would do a screenshot with their tablet or their phone, and they would email that to their corporate office or save it for their records or whatever. Okay. So instead of paying for the reporting feature, they decided that they were just going to circumnavigate the reporting feature and screenshot it. Well, about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, MeasureQuick said, hey, guess what? You can't screenshot anymore because they can get into your phone and the permissions and stuff. They can tell if you do a screenshot, and a warning came across. So starting May 1st is the official start date. The screenshots, the last I heard, if you try to do a screenshot, you have to pay for premium features to be able to use this MeasureQuick app. Okay. Here's the deal, guys. I guarantee they have millions of dollars into that app. Give them a couple bucks and just stop whining, right? I get it. MeasureQuick's way of monetizing their app, it doesn't make sense to me either. But guess what? It's their choice to do that. Okay. I pay, basically, here's the deal. You have a qubits account on MeasureQuick, right? It takes 5 qubits per system. I think it's for a year or two, 1 or 2 years. You can always log back into that system, but it's 5 qubits per system, every system you work on. Okay. But here's the deal, guys. I don't personally do the reports. So all that I do is I just put money in the qubits account. I don't need the premium features, but I appreciate the app. Okay. So I don't even use them. I got a bunch of money sitting in my qubits account. I just don't use it. I put in $100 every couple months, like, because it benefits me. So pay them for their app. Like, don't use the reports, put a couple $100 in your qubits account and be done with it. Even if you don't use it, then it's their money. They can use it. You're still paying for it. You can do the reports. So yes, there is premium features with MeasureQuick. Guys, if you want something that amazing, you got to pay for it. It can't be free. Okay. All right. Anyways, let's get what else we got going on in the chat right now. Hard work and good software shouldn't be free. Someone worked hard to make it. Let them get paid for their work. Exactly. Okay. Exactly. Danny said free at first, and when they come back for more, you start charging. It's like your normal street dealer, huh? That's funny. Oh man, that is funny. Is the EPA going to make a new rule for the new refrigerants? I mean, the EPA isn't really the one that would be regulating the new refrigerants. It's more or less other departments that are going to be talking about safety and different things. But there's really nothing big to worry about with the new refrigerants. It's really not that big of a deal. Okay. I've been dealing with flammable refrigerants, A3 refrigerants, R290, unodorized propane. You can't smell it. Okay. I'm working with that for a couple of years now. It's not a big deal. Just follow some proper safety practices, right? Sweep the system with nitrogen, cut as many components out. Even that, I don't do that all the time. Clint Glasgow, thank you, my friend. Thank you for that super chat. That is awesome, bud. That is really cool. I really appreciate that, Clint. It's been a while since I've actually interacted with you. So that's really cool, man. Good to see you. Yeah, ANSI would have a big say in the regulations on the different refrigerants, but I don't think it's really, I don't know. I don't really think too much you need to worry about them. Just understand that the new A2L refrigerants are mildly flammable. Again, same practices, sweep the system with nitrogen, try to cut components out. But if you can't cut a component out, just be cautious. You might have a flame out just like you would with normal HCFC refrigerants or HFC refrigerants. I mean, you can have flame outs when oils get to certain temperatures in those too. So just be careful. So what else we got going on in here? Hello. Just use common sense. Yeah. So someone had asked me about cleaners. What would Jim Bergman do? Thank you, Adam. And guess what, guys? I think we can say this. Can we say? I'm going to say it. Screw it. We're going to have Jim Bergman on the show soon, and we will be talking about this stuff on the HVAC Overtime show. So we're going to get him on for sure, and we will talk to him about all these different things, and he'll talk. Let us know. I'm getting some feedback on my stupid speakers. Let's see what else we got going on in here right now. All right. So someone had asked me about cleaners, and they were asking specifically about refrigeration technologies. So refrigeration technologies cleaners, they are a partner of mine. They are one of the sponsors for my stream, but they're good people. One thing that I'll tell you, I have 2 current sponsors on my channel. That's it. Okay. I give a lot of free product information out for a lot of manufacturers. Hell, I've probably done a crap ton for MeasureQuick, but I like doing that. Okay. I only work with the only time I really charge people is when they want specific stuff, right? But anyways, I've worked with Parker Sporlin and Refrigeration Technologies for a very long time, and you can go back. I don't think I started actually working with Parker Sporlin until a year or 2 into making videos. Refrigeration Technologies, I think it was 2 years into making videos, okay, before I partnered with them. if you go back to my first videos, you'll notice that I'm always talking about their products. So if I bring someone on as a partner of this channel, I genuinely like them. Okay. Because of something that they do. And you can see it because, again, I didn't start working with them for years, but yet you go back to the beginning and I'm constantly using both of their products all the time. But anyways, Refrigeration Technologies, they make the Viper coil cleaners. They're environmentally safe cleaners, and they're very good, microchannel safe. They have several different cleaners, right? But the person was asking me with those cleaners, because this particular person that sent me this email said that they live in an area where they don't want chemicals going down the storm drains. I have experience with this exact same stuff. And he was asking if the Refrigeration Technologies chemicals are clean enough to go into storm drains, to go to the ocean. Okay. You know, because some places regulate. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, again, I don't have your name written down, but every different municipality that's near the ocean here in Southern California, they have strict regulations about runoff, and they don't want you putting chemicals into these storm drains, right? If you put it into the sewer, it goes to a processing plant and can be cleaned and processed appropriately. But if you put it into the storm drains, or you wash off a roof and that goes into a gutter and runs down onto the street, that goes to the storm drains. It's going to be hard to get any one of those people to approve any kind of cleaner. Okay. Do I know if everyone will approve the Refrigeration Technologies cleaners? I mean, you're going to have to talk to each different municipality and find out what kind of cleaners they allow. I will say that the Refrigeration Technologies chemicals, though, they are very good chemicals, and they're very safe too if they're used properly. So, but you'd have to talk to each individual manufacturer. That's a very common thing. There's sometimes in some of those areas too, I can tell you guys some cool stories. I've never had to do this. I just have friends that have had to do it. One time, someone was doing a coil cleaning in a fancy area in San Diego, and they made them put up diapers on the roof and soak up all the wash, like the water coming off. They basically wanted them to pull permits whenever they had to clean the coils. That's insane. Now, I don't work in any of those areas, and I don't think I would want to work in any of those areas. That is a pain in the butt. Same thing, like when people go out and wash cars, in some areas too, they'll make them put up like rubber diapers and then vacuum up the water and pour it down the sewers. It's kind of crazy. So let's see what else. This is a really good comment. So this gentleman named Richie said that he was talking about something his father says all the time. And it was a comment on one of my videos. And his father's phrase is that this new generation of technicians that are currently in the industry and coming into the industry, right? This is us, you watching this right now. This generation of technicians has more new technology than the previous generations ever had. There is no excuse for us to not be thorough, proper technicians. We have the greatest tools available to us right now. The only thing we have to do, you and I, is use our brains, put in our effort, and do a good job. The tools, they help us to make that job even better. So we need to remember that. We have awesome tools that can help us. And sometimes a tool doesn't have to be fancy digital gauges. It can simply be a really cool tool that I used the other day. Leslie Orm, he's a market service technician. A while back, he emailed me. He's like, hey, I got this little tool that I patented and I want to send you one if you can use it in a video. I was like, sure, whatever, man, send it to me. It is a thread fixer, okay? It's a little tool when you're working on a compressor or a service valve and the threads are rusted out on the suction side. That happens all the time. And you can't get your gauges on there, right? Your hoses on there. And what you end up having to do is get channel locks and twist your hoses on and ruin the end of your hose and ruin the gasket just to get it on there so you can work on that system. Well, Leslie invented this little tool, and it's called the Falcon Thread Fixer. It's a rethreader for refrigeration threads. I mean, he didn't invent the rethreader, but it's a cool little compact tool. He calls it the Falcon Thread Fixer. And I've used it in 1 or 2 videos, but I used that just the other day. And it was like, I ran into a problem. I couldn't get it on. And it's like, oh, I'm going to go get that tool from my van. I went downstairs, got it, use a crescent wrench on it. Boom, it cuts the threads, cleans them up. We have these cool tools. And, you know, it's awesome that we do. And it's really, really neat. If you want to know where to get that from, I think, does anybody know Leslie Orm's website? Is it marketservicetech.com? I don't remember if that's it or not. But look up Falcon Thread Fixer, Leslie Orm. It'll come up. So I don't know if any of my moderators knows any information about him. You can post a link in there. What hoses do I use on the roof? Water hoses. I use the 5/8 inside diameter rubber hoses, the solid rubber hoses. They're from, you can get them from Lowe's or Home Depot. They're 5/8 inside diameter. They're heavy duty hoses. They're made from tires is what they are. They're, you can get them from Goodyear or from Continental Tire, and they're hoses. They're great hoses. That's what I use. And they last me about a year or two. I get out of each set of hoses. So I keep two 50-foot hoses on my truck so I can do 100-foot of whatever I need to, and use them quite often. They last a long time, but I'm very particular with my hoses. When I'm done with my hoses, I take a towel in one hand and I roll them up and I drain them out over my shoulder and drain them and clean them at the same time. So I'm cleaning the hose, draining the hose. I roll them up, seal them dry, put them back into my van. I take care of them. So they last me sometimes up to 2 years. See what else we got going on in here. All right, Mike B. See you later, buddy. All right. Danny asked, Danny had a really good question. And I'm curious what the chat has to say about this too, because I mentioned something in one of my videos. Danny comments on my videos all the time, and he had a really smart question. And he had me questioning myself for a minute, but I'm going to ask the chat and see if this makes sense to you guys. Maybe I'm an idiot. Okay. So I mentioned in my recent video that I released on Sunday that when I used water hoses at that restaurant, it was hot water coming direct from the hot water, or from the water heater. I almost said hot water heater, but coming direct from the water heater. And it's really hot water. And I was using it on the roof, and it was like working wonders on this condenser because it was hot, right? But I mentioned that when I'm using hot water and they have high pressure, that I don't ever let the hose shut off. I try to keep it running at all times. So I'll put my wand on it and I don't shut it off, because in my experience, and maybe I'm dumb here, but when you have the hot water running through the hoses, it really softens them up, right? And it makes them more susceptible to, especially when the hoses get older and they might have some unseen damage on them, you get more susceptible to ruptures when you have the hot water. And I feel like when you shut it off, maybe I'm wrong, but I tend to notice that, you know, as you have static water sitting in a hose, the pressure will build up. But then as you let it flow through, there's going to be a little bit less pressure as it's flowing because there's no restriction. So I tend to notice that I don't like them to shut off. Now, am I an idiot for thinking that? I'm asking the chat right now. So, you know, would it make sense to not shut a hot hose off, you know, with the water running because you are afraid you're going to make it burst? Because in my head, that logic makes sense. So let's see what the chat has to say. 0G hoses. Yeah, I can't use the collapsible hoses. They just scare me. Let's see what else we got going on in here. Flex on ranch hoses. Yeah, no. Reading through here. Okay. So, see, I don't see them burst when they're flowing, Dave. So Jason says, water in your hose equals a frozen hose if you leave the water. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, when you're let it rip. Yeah, so Dave G's saying he's burst numerous hoses that way. Yeah. Less. Okay, so yeah, exactly. No, they're not made. Well, they're made for like 120-degree water. Maybe sometimes you can see some pretty hot water on these restaurants. So water hammer's a big problem. Yep, exactly. So right on. All right, cool. So Ahmed asked me, and this is a great question too. Again, I love questions from people that are homeowners, restaurant owners, technicians, whatever. I'm not the best technician out there, but obviously I'm approachable because I have content. So people feel the need to want to ask me questions. Sometimes I can help them, sometimes I can't, but I'm cool answering questions. Okay. Do me a favor before I get into this last question, or this question I have on here. Smash the thumbs up button, guys. On YouTube right now, we have 145 people watching, but we only have 55 likes. So if you're on YouTube, do me a favor, smash the thumbs up button, help the stream. It really does help. Okay. Reading through here. So Ahmed asked me a question about his mom's restaurant. Okay. So Ahmed says, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I believe it's pronounced Ahmed. Okay. his mom's restaurant, what they tend to notice is that it gets really hot in the kitchen. I'm paraphrasing his question. And the walk-in cooler equipment stops working. They've had several people out there. They're frustrated because nobody can fix it. The last person told them that the reason why the equipment's not working is that it's overheating in the kitchen and they need to move it onto the roof. So Ahmed's asking me if that makes sense. Okay, so understand they've had a lot of different people out there. They don't know who to trust. Now they're reaching out to me saying, hey, will it help us to move this equipment on the roof? And the easy answer to that question, Ahmed, is generally yes, it will help the kitchen. If you move condensing unit equipment out of the conditioned space and move it to the outdoors, if it is outdoor equipment, it will help typically the restaurant heat go down. Okay. But I don't know your specific situation, right? If you have a hot kitchen, you got to solve the problems. Okay. You cannot just operate your kitchen without air conditioning. A kitchen needs to have air conditioning for a restaurant. Restaurant kitchens need to be usually cooler than 85 degrees. If they're anything over 85 degrees, equipment starts breaking, especially the refrigerators you have in your kitchen. They're typically only rated for sometimes 78 degrees. It just depends. Okay. For comfort, you need to have your kitchen between 75, 76 degrees, or your cooks are going to lose their minds. Okay. But if you have refrigeration equipment in there too, and you don't have air conditioning, yeah. And if the condensing units are dispelling their heat into that kitchen, yeah, that's going to be a problem. You are increasing the temperatures. So for your refrigeration equipment, if it is sized correctly, that's a key thing. If it's sized correctly, a good majority of the refrigeration equipment is not. But if it's sized correctly to move that condensing unit all the way onto the roof, not just BTU capacity, but it also has to have refrigeration storage capacity. The liquid line receiver needs to be big enough to be remoted onto the roof so that way it can store all the refrigerant. Okay. So if your equipment is properly designed and operating is, within what it's supposed to be, yeah, moving the equipment onto the roof is going to drastically improve your kitchen and your refrigeration equipment's operation. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question for you, bud. Let's see what the chat has to say. Let's see. Just fly out and look at it. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. How do you end membership? I don't know. I'm assuming you're talking about the YouTube membership. I think it sends you reminder emails, so you can probably look for an old email, and then I'm sure it's really easy to unsubscribe from the membership or whatever if you need to. So, reading through the chat, what else we got going on here? The temps in. Okay, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Logic makes perfect sense. Oh, and it's Danny. So right on, Danny. Yeah. So anyways, and that was a great question, Danny. That really was a good question. And I appreciate you asking those because it does make me question myself. And I like to make sure that I'm correct, right? Because I say incorrect stuff all the time. Like I really do. So I'm glad when people point that stuff out. And the cool thing is that Danny wasn't criticizing. I didn't take it that way. Danny was just asking a question. But I love those kind of questions because they make me question. And, it's as weird as it is, guys. I can't stress this enough. I look forward to being wrong these days. And what I mean by that is I don't want to have to like slack off. I don't want that kind of stuff. But when I'm wrong, it's something new that I can learn. Right. So I actually, in a weird way, have found enjoyment in that. Of course, no one likes to be wrong. But if you are going to be wrong, at least learn something from it so you can grow from it. And that's a fun thing to be able to do. So I appreciate that question, Danny. Do I almost strictly work in kitchen AC? Yeah, I really would like to pick up some more business type work, and I would love to do some other stuff too, but yeah, 99%, I'd say 100% of my work right now is in kitchens. Yeah, so refrigeration, air conditioning, ice machines, exhaust fans in kitchens, I do all those. So reading through the chat, what else we got going on in here? Bill is hilarious. Bill is hilarious. You guys definitely go make sure, if you guys don't already, check out the HVAC Overtime Show on YouTube. Myself, Adam, Joe, and Bill, who are at one point all in the chat today, all do this show on Friday evening, and it is a great, great time. And we tend to have some really cool guests. So definitely check out the Overtime Show. Anybody want to post a link to the Overtime Show, any of the mods, that'd be great. So any hot side work? No hot side work. So All right. Well, it is time for me to wrap this up because I have to go eat some dinner and I'm kind of hungry. So I really do appreciate you guys making it to the stream. Thank you for all the super chats and channel donations and channel memberships and all that stuff. And I take absolutely no offense to anybody that needs to end a channel membership. You guys do not have to support this channel. Only do it if it's something you want to. I take no offense if you don't. I appreciate just a simple interaction on all the different social media platforms, a thumbs up, whatever, right? I just like sharing the knowledge that I have. So again, I really do appreciate you. I am going to cue up the outro music and we will catch you on the next one.